What's up, fellas? We are live. We got a special guest today, my brother Martin. He is a master at online dating apps. He's a beast at getting beautiful women to match with him on dating apps. So I'm excited for this. What's up, bro?
Hello, guys.
How you feeling, man?
Good, good. Awesome for this great interview today. Thank you for having me today. So, if you don't know, guys, who I am, my name is Martin Zhel, and as Trey said, I'm a master at online dating and Tinder, and this is what we're going to talk about today. So, yeah, pretty excited to talk about this topic, and thank you for having me here today.
No doubt, brother. It's great to have you on because I don't talk about dating apps in this group at all. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
talk shit if I'm not good at it. You know what I mean? So it's great to have you on because you're an expert. I obviously spoke to you, bro. I can hear the passion in your voice. Like you really figured this shit out, bro. So it's
Mhm.
excellent to have this talk with you and get to know how you were able to figure out how to get results on dating apps and not just regular results. You told me you got up to 30 dates in a
Yeah.
dating apps, bro. So can you kind of talk about how you how you got started, as far as like how you got into doing Tinder and stuff like that, and how you got to a point where you were getting up to 30 dates in a month?
Mhm. Okay, great. So first of all, I started back in the days with cold approach. I started with cold approach maybe about 13 years ago, let's say a long time ago. So in my first years when I started learning about dating and meeting women, I was doing that in person. So for many years, this is the only thing that I was doing as a way to meet up women.
Yeah.
But at some point, I was getting to the point when, let's say, I was seeing that in order to get results from cold approach, there were, let's say, a lot of things that were outside of your control that sometimes you are struggling, not so because, let's say, you don't get good skills, but sometimes, for example, you need the clubs to be full, or for example, you need to have women outside. And for example, if the weather is shitty and it's raining outside and there are no women, you cannot meet anyone. Or for example, for some reason, if the clubs are empty, you cannot meet anyone. And also, I was seeing that, let's say, cold approach, as much as I loved it, required very big time commitment, so to speak. I need to go out and approach women for a lot of hours in order to get a few phone numbers so I can get a few dates. And it was like a very big time commitment and also a lot of factors outside of that. And at that point, I was thinking if there's another way to meet women besides just cold approach, just to let's say, have another source of lead, so to speak. And this is when I had a friend who actually he was getting about 3, 4, 5 dates per week from Tinder. And that guy was actually putting much less effort than he was putting in cold approach in order to achieve those results. So I started thinking to myself, how does he do it exactly? So I started to figure out how he does it, and try to analyze what he's doing in order to get that. And try to understand it, because back in the days, let's say, no one was really understanding, let's say, Tinder and dating apps the way they work now. No one really had a working system when it comes to how it's really how it's working. And this is when I start, let's say, trying to test different things. In the beginning, let's say, nothing really worked for me. Let's say I tried to create different Tinder profiles, and in the beginning I was getting like no matches at all. Like, for example, you, I was creating a brand new account and got like 5 matches the first day, and the following days, let's say, you start getting 2 or 3 matches per day, or let's say 1 match per day. Then after a few days, it dies down to get no longer any matches. And the women are not very responsive. You don't know how to talk to them. And in the beginning, it was kind of discouraging because I was getting no results. And for someone, especially who I was getting decent results from cold approach, it was kind of, let's say, it could be kind of discouraging. But after a while, got motivated to figure it out. And a big motivation for me was, let's say, I was traveling around Central Europe. So me and my buddies, with some friends, I was traveling on a road trip, and basically we're staying at one city per day, and then we're switching to another country. So that day we were actually in Prague, in Czech Republic. And I opened Tinder, and I knew that I was staying for only one day. And the next day, I knew that we were going to another country. We were going to Budapest in Hungary. So the point being is I knew I had only limited time to make something happen. So I opened Tinder, and I remember I matched with this girl by accident. This was one of my early successes that I had. And I matched with her, and I remember I was in my room with a friend of mine and a female friend. And I was chatting with them, and I was telling them, hey, I just matched with this girl. And I told them, you know what, actually, I will try to push and to meet her today because I'm leaving tomorrow. So I don't have any options to stay in chat with her for days, right? Because I was simply going to leave. The next day I'm going to another country, so it will be just a missed opportunity. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna push it. I'm gonna try to meet her today, see what happens. And I remember I told that to my friend, and my friend was, dude, there's no way this girl, she's going to agree to meet you tonight. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, and push for it. And she agreed. She gave me her number, and I showed him. I said, okay, hey, look at this. And I remember I went to meet her. So we agreed to meet in front of a club. And I remember I went over there, and I met her in front of the club. And when I look at her, when I saw her in person, she was like the hottest Filipina girl like I've ever seen. And the funny thing is, because I didn't know she was Asian in advance, because in her pic she had like a huge sunglasses, and the other pic was a bit far away, so I didn't know that. And when I met her in person, she turned out to be super hot, attractive girl, and we had an amazing night. And this was one of the early things that really motivated me to figure this stuff out, because I saw that it was actually working, especially if you push yourself to make it happen. And after that night, I kind of got motivated to try to figure it out, because I got lucky that night, in terms of things just simply worked out because I pushed myself. And this is when I realized that, okay, it might be a way to make this happen. And this is when I knew that, for example, there is a system, there's an art and science for doing things right, for example, when it comes to code approach. And I started thinking, what if there's a system, an art and science to the way to make it happen with online dating as well? And this is when I try to understand myself what might be working. And I soon realized that, for example, uh, online dating and Tinder requires very different skills from cold approach to make it happen. Because with cold approach, you have this wide interaction, right? You can approach a girl, you can talk with her, you can vibe, you can communicate your value in the interaction, and that way she can become attracted. With Tinder and dating apps is quite the opposite. Like, you need to create that attraction and interest first with your profile, and only then you can start talking, start messaging. And many guys don't realize how they can do that with just their profile. And that's one of the things with online dating. You need to figure out how to create that interest and attraction with just your profile. And then once girls decide that they like you, you can start chatting with them and move the interaction forward, and let's say, and make it happen. And once we figure out what's working really, and it took me a long time to do that because there were so few places where you can actually learn about it. So I was, let's say, reading different studies, different research I can use. I was seeing what kind of things work for other people, what doesn't work, and testing things myself. And after a while, I started seeing patterns and things that work. And this is how I figure out myself. And after a while, I start getting insane results. I start getting like, let's say I create a new account that I'm testing, a new profile, and I get more than 100 matches the first day. Considering that this is in a city of about 2 million people, 2 million people. In a bigger city, you get more. Also that I'm not swiping right on all girls, only on the ones I find attractive. And the other thing is that I start getting hundreds of matches per month, and I start figuring out, let's say, text game, and let's say most of the women were responding to my messages. They were very open. I figure out how to get them to dates quickly, and I figure out that most of the time can get women to go out with you the same night or the next day, so it's pretty fast. And they can actually be, women on dating apps could be very receptive if you have the right approach. And I figure that's the great way to meet women. And I know that most guys are struggling with it. And I think the reason why is because they don't understand it, and they don't understand how they can use it to their own advantage in order to meet women properly. I think that's part of the problem, because the same way, like if you don't know how to talk to women in person, like you could be a great guy and really confident, you could be making a lot of money, you could have great personality, but if you don't know how to, let's say, approach a girl and get her interested and attract her within a few seconds or minutes, it's not going to happen. Like in the same way, like with online dating and Tinder, that you need to know how to communicate your value properly, to get attention, to get interest, to move the interaction forward. It's a bit different than cold approach. So I think that's why, let's say, there are guys who are good with cold approach, but they suck with online, and there are guys who might be good with online and suck with, let's say, cold approach. And these are the things that I figure out myself, so to speak. And yeah, you can get insane results from if you really understand what's working with, let's say, Tinder and online dating, you can get insane results. The same way you can get insane results with cold approach, I guess.
Got you. Okay, cool, bro. Thanks for sharing that. So, real quickly, I just want to say, fellas, if you have questions, put it in the comment section so we can get to your questions. But the first question I have, bro, is what are some mistakes that guys are making? Because I know you have clients, you're coaching guys. Obviously, you figured stuff out. You've been doing it for quite some time. What are some of the main mistakes that most guys are making when it comes to dating apps and Tinder and online dating?
Okay. So the first mistake that guys are making, that what you need to realize is that that they don't understand how much the quality of the photos matter. In terms of that, many guys might think, for example, they take pictures with their cell phones and they upload them on dating apps. And for example, they don't get matches, and they assume it's because they're not good looking, but in reality, it's because their photos are bad and low quality. One of the key things that it's important to understand is that in order to look good in photos, you need the right camera and gear and lens, for example. And especially portrait photographers, they always use professional cameras with lenses that are, let's say, above 85 millimeters. And this is the type of lenses that you want to use for portrait photography, especially for the close-up shots, because the thing when it comes to lenses and photography is that the way your face looks on the camera is not how it looks in real life. And many guys, they don't see the difference, but women can feel the difference when they're looking at your photos. And the thing is that, let's say, usually a lens of the camera, they take the image and they created, let's say, a distorted image of the picture. So it's not the same way as it looks in real life. And for example, if the lens is like a wide lens, it's smaller than that. For example, it's smaller than 55 or whatever was with most phones. This usually makes you look much worse than you look in real life. It don't make you look so attractive and so forth. And for example, if you take decent pictures with professional camera and a good sized lens, which is let's say 85 and more, usually you look much better. And even if you compare pictures of the same person with different sized lens, that's one of the things that I think it's super crucial. And I tell this to people all the time. And that's something that nobody tells them that it's important. The second thing is you want to have the right whitening, because if women cannot, women want to be able to see your face, your eyes, your facial expression. And for example, if your face is not that well visible, they cannot see that. Many guys, they put sunglasses on their pictures, and that's very bad because let's say that way women cannot trust you because they cannot see your eyes properly. Another big mistake that men make are trying to impress women with their looks. And what they need to understand is that even though being good looking and taking care of yourself as a guy, it's important, they, let's say, overestimate the importance of looks compared to other things that are probably more important. What I mean by this is that I figure out that, for example, let's say looks is probably 20% of it. You cannot put actual percentage, but let's say it's 20% just to make a point. And about 80% of attraction is probably based on personality, behavior, status, and so on. And that's what they need to communicate in their profiles more than just their looks. Because if you only have looks as a guy and you have zero personality, zero when it comes to behavior, you show low status, you show bad lifestyle, all that, you have zero for that. And even if you're super good looking, a woman won't rate you more as 2 out of 10. And at the same time, you might be average looking or a bit above average, but you might show great personality, behavior, can show great lifestyle, you can show all that, and that puts you to 9 out of 10. So that's why, let's say, you cannot rely just on your, let's say, being good looking and taking care of yourself and hitting up the gym, eating healthy. I think that's super important for a guy. And if you don't do it, you don't respect yourself. But when it comes to attracting women, let's say just being good looking is not enough to attract them. So you need much more than that to add, to improve your overall attractiveness, so to speak. So that's why the quality of the images matter, how should the images matter. Let's say the other thing that matter is how you react to the camera. Let's say how the pose, the facial expression, the body language, what you communicate with that, showing different things like interests, passions, hobbies, and how you communicate all of that in order to sell yourself, in order for women to see all of that and to rate all of that in order to want to match with you and talk to you and to see that you are a fun, interesting guy, and you have things going on in your life and you're interesting, just like a boring guy. And the problem with many guys is simply that their profiles are simply very bad in terms of low quality pictures. They don't show anything interesting about themselves. The fact that in fact they show that they're pretty boring with what kind of pictures they put. For example, I see many guys, they put pictures from the gym, which are kind of boring. Pictures in a car, which is probably the most boring place you can be. instead of having like a cool background, visiting a nice place, and so forth. So this is the type of mistake that I see guys make. The other type of mistake I see guys make, let's say, adding pictures with girls and putting them on a profile, which is also bad because the thing about pre-selection is that it works really well in person. We are doing cold approach, social circle, but when it comes to online dating, actually, it doesn't help you. Not only doesn't it help you, but it has like a negative effect. And I've seen this many times how when guys add pictures with girls on their Tinder profiles, they actually get way less matches than if they remove that. And it's hard to explain why this is happening, but it's mostly about because the intent behind using Tinder dating apps is quite different than, for example, socializing in a club or in a social setting. Because in a social setting and in a club, the main purpose is not to date someone, but to socialize, have fun. And with dating apps, the intent is to meet someone in the context of dating. And a lot of women, if you have a picture with a girl, a lot of women will assume this is your girlfriend and that you're actually cheating or something like this. And they view it very negatively and they swipe left based on that. And yeah, that's something that guys don't know. And there are many things like this that affect how women perceive you. And sometimes, for example, you might have all of your pictures might be great besides one. And in that one, you might have something that causes women to actually swipe left because you're actually killing attraction with something that you added within your profile, so to speak. So yeah, there are many things like that and many mistakes that guys make, and you kind of need to train them and teach them about all of that because not everything is so obvious, so to speak.
Yeah, gotcha, bro. That's interesting what you said about pre-selection because if I was to get on a dating app and like take it seriously, that's something
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to use. Like I try to put some pictures with some girls and stuff like that. But I think that from
Mm-hmm.
your experience that has a negative effect
Mm-hmm.
on
Yes.
getting wow.
Yeah, actually, pre-selection. Uh, yeah, I can show some examples later on after the after the wife call. I can make a post within the group and I can show some examples. But the main the main thing is like with pre-selection, and I tested it many times, and not only with myself, with other people as well. And all the people that I've read that use that, they actually see it, and actually it has like a negative effect. And also, if you read online, let's say many people, they will tell you that they will respond back to this. So so it's like an interesting thing that actually it works completely differently that it would work in, for example, in a social setting, like in person. And I think because the intent is different behind both things. So yeah, that's important thing to know that some things might work in one way with cold approach and with social circle, and they might work quite differently when it comes to dating apps. So that's a good thing to know.
Word. Okay, cool, bro. So let's say somebody is starting from scratch, right? Like for example, me, I love code, bro. So I don't really mess with dating apps or Tinder too much. But let's say I was like, man, I'm kind of tired of cold approach or whatever, and I'm like, yo, I want to get on Tinder. How
Mm-hmm.
like your advice? Like, let's say I want to set up a nice profile that's gonna get some quality girls, some attractive girls, because I don't want to waste no time with no, fat girls or whatever. So, what how I know you go into detail, but just like a quick maybe, here's what you do. Step one, step two, step three, and I'll have a solid profile.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So uh, the thing is that, let's say, the way I view personally dating profiles is like an advertisement of yourself, so to speak. So you're trying to communicate your own value in a way that will attract women. The same way you advertise a product, and that's why, let's say, a lot of guys don't get it. They don't have good results not because they're like a bad product, but because their advertisements suck. The same way, like in business, that like there are companies that have great products, but because they're not marketing them well, they don't sell anything, right? Even though you have amazing products, if their advertising, if their marketing sucks, they're not going to get any customers. And at the same time, you have, let's say, you have companies that they don't have such a great products, but they actually have amazing marketing, and they have amazing marketing and advertisement. Actually, they sell a lot. Like a company that I can give example of this is like GoDaddy. Like if you see like commercials of GoDaddy, they're probably one of the best commercials out there, and because of that, they get tons of customers. But actually, I have worked with their service, have probably one of the worst services when it comes to domain names and hosting and whatever. But the funny thing is, because they have great commercials, they actually get a lot of customers. So the same way I view it with Tinder and dating apps. And the first thing is, let's say, for each guy is to try to understand what type of person you are, because there are different personality types that attract women online that you can communicate. For example, one type could be adventurer type of guy. One type could be a bad boy. Another type could be successful guy. Another type could be, let's say, an artist. And these are very different type of personalities that they can communicate their value in a very different way. So you need to know what is your primary and secondary, and which ones you want to focus more within your profile. So the other thing that you want to list is you want to think in terms of what are your unique passions and hobbies, and what is your purpose, what do you do for a living, things like that, that you can think in terms of incorporating within your profile. I think that's very, very important for guys to think in terms of that, because as I said, these are things that you want to push within your profile as well. The other thing is that you want to think, let's say the dating profile has structure. So you have basically three types of photos that you want to add within your profile. You have a profile picture, which the profile picture needs to be designed in a way to get initial attention. So basically you want women to stop from all the other guys, stop on your profile and look at your, to look at your profile, to get their initial interest and intrigue, and to want to take a look at your profile. So the profile picture is not going to do the sale, but you need to get the attention. So you need a profile picture that's taken by a professional camera with the right lens. You want to be a close-up of your face, and you want to have the right facial expression, eye contact, and the right pose in a way to look good, for example. One key thing when taking pictures is not to position yourself in a way that many guys, what they do when taking pictures is they put their whole body towards the camera, and this is the worst way to take pictures. You want, for example, your body to be a bit on the side and to look at the camera to look another way. That way you look more, you look better, and you kind of have this vibe like you don't really care so much that someone is taking a picture of you. And also you need supporting pictures, let's say 1 or 2 supporting pictures, which is show a bit more of your body. Here you want to focus more on body language, the right pose, what are you wearing in terms of quoting, the background as well, to show more of that. And the other photos, I call them a bit more in terms of demonstration of value photos, and these are more related to your passion, hobbies, to your purpose, to things that you enjoy doing, to your personality type as well. So you can add things in terms of sport. If you're doing, for example, shooting videos to a podcast, you can show a bit of that. If you're traveling, you can show travel photos from different cool places that you go to show that you have a nice lifestyle. All the cool things that relate to lifestyle that you can show, you can put there. And you can have let's say a photo of playing sport. You can have, let's say, a photo showing, like leadership, authority, and all that. But this really depends on the person and the personality type, because as I said, for each person could be different. So you need to understand more about who you are and how to communicate your own value. I think this is important when it comes to pictures. If I have to summarize it, so to speak, this is what's needed for each person to make. So you need to think, first of all, in terms of strategy and what you want to communicate, and then you need to go and shoot the proper pictures that you can include within your profile. And then you need to test it, organize it properly, and you need to test it out to see how it performs, and you can optimize it. And yeah, this is basically it if you have to explain it really, really quickly.
Gotcha. So you named a couple archetypes, right? Or a couple types of men that seem to do well. So you said like the bad boy, adventurous, successful,
Mhm.
um, right? So have you found, like, is there some archetypes that do better than others, or do they all kind of do well in their own way, or what have you noticed in regards to that?
Mhm. So, so in regards to this, I've noticed, I wouldn't say some work better than others. Like, for example, there are like 6 types that work well and they all work well. What I've seen is that some of the types are a bit more lower types, so they work more in terms of if your purpose is to hook up, for example. The other types could be a bit better for seeking something a bit more long term. So these are the differences that, depending on what you focus more within your profile. Because I've noticed personally that if you, uh, because for example, for myself, I personally portray myself more as an adventurous and bad boy type, even though I can portray myself more as a successful guy as well. So that's why I do personally for myself. So I can start more within the lover vibe, and then I can expand more. And if I want to, I can be show the girl that I'm successful as well. But but the other guys can do the opposite as well. So it really depends what you're looking for, and based on your personality, what is your the closest to those types, you can communicate those. So I wouldn't say one works more in the better, but they work in a different way, because you can have different outcome based on that, in terms of what you're looking for.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So, all right. So, what would you say? Let's say someone is kind of, they don't really, because one of the things you talked about is the quality of the camera and the lens and stuff like that. So let's say somebody right now, they don't really have access to high quality lens or anything like that. Can they still be successful on the dating apps, or is that like a very important?
Well, the thing is that, um, when many people have access to something, um, usually this is like an excuse for not doing it. In terms of, they think that, because this is what I believe people think. People think they need to spend thousands of dollars for a professional camera in order to be able to take pictures, and this is not actually the case. Like, you don't need to have access yourself. You just need to find someone who has access to that thing, that will provide you that access in order to take the pictures. So in most cases, what you do is, let's say, you can hire a photographer to take pictures of you, which is, I think, the best thing, because first of all, he has the gear, he already bought it, so he has the gear, so you don't need to buy it yourself. And second of all, he's a professional, so he is going to take better pictures of you than someone else, right? And also, there are ways that you can negotiate the price, right? Sometimes, and yeah, you need to spend some money for pictures, but at the end of the day, it pays off, right? Because because here's the thing. Let's say, I think everybody can, no matter where you live, because around the world the places for hiring a photographer would be different. But I think everybody can find a way to, let's say, maybe negotiate a price, get a lower price. Maybe you can, ask the photographer you can get a few of your buddies that want to take pictures as well. You can combine with them and tell them, hey, we're, let's say, 4 people that want to take pictures. If we're, let's say, 4 people and want to take pictures at the same time, what would be the price? What kind of price can you give me? And the photographer is going to lower the price for that. You can get like a 50% reduction or 60% or 40% or whatever, but you can get a bit cheaper. And even if you do it just by yourself for the standard price that they charge, you can find a way to get the money, because it's not millions of dollars that, let's say, they ask you, or it's not thousands of dollars. It's probably $200 that you need to spend for a photo shoot, or 150. You can find different prices, but the idea is that, let's say, you can find the money, let's say, and if you cannot find $200 for a photo shoot, you probably have another thing that you need to figure out, which is, let's say, how you can make more money as a guy, and how you can, because there's always a solution to a problem. And when people say, I don't have an access to a camera, well, you can find access to a camera. There are people with cameras that will take pictures of you. You just need to find them and convince them. And some people, you can even convince them to do it for free. Like, there's one girl I remember, I met her from Tinder, and we went out, we did a photo shoot, and she has taken my profile picture, and it was for free. Yeah, I bought her a drink afterwards and dinner, but as a thank you. But she did it for free. So there are ways that sometimes it could be, you can have let's say, great skills that you can provide to the photographers, and you can exchange. For example, you can do something for them, they can do something for you. For example, if you're good at marketing or sales, you can help them with that. They can help you with your pictures. Sometimes you might be great with accounting and taxes. You can tell them, okay, I can help you with that, so you don't pay so many taxes. So there are ways to do it. You just need to figure out, let's say, I think saying I don't have access to a camera is like, you can find the access very, very easily. You just need to figure out how you can do that for yourself. So the way I usually do it is like, let's say, the question was, do you have most pulls to my place? So here's how I view it. Let's say I had many pulls to myself, to my place, or to the girl's place, but I also prefer to, first of all, meet in person most of the time, in outside, not in my place. And I'll tell you why I believe that might be better. Let's say, the thing is this, let's say if I go out with a girl, usually getting them to meet in person, it's way easier than getting them to come to my place. Way easier, most of the time. So it's usually the path with least resistance, so to speak, in terms of, I need to put more effort to get him to overcome objections, whatever, to get him to come to my place. It's like more work for that to make it happen. At the same time, what I've noticed when I go out with them in person and I see I'm a cool, great guy, in a couple of hours, they will come to my place anyway. Like, so I don't really need them to get them to come to my place at first, because I know if I go out with them, they will come to my place anyway if they like me. So I'm not worried when it comes to this. And I know a lot of guys might be thinking, if they come straight to your place, it's better because you don't need to think in terms of logistics. But at the same time, like, getting them to meet you in person in public, it's way easier, way less resistant, much easier. And when they like you in person, let's say later on bringing them to your place, it's actually really easy. So the way I view it is like, it's less effort to get them to meet in person, and after they like me, I know that they'll come to my place, so I don't have nothing to worry about. So this is my take when it comes to getting them to come to your place. Let's say I've done it many times, but as I said, what I've noticed, it takes more effort to make it happen. Even though it looks really good, if you show it to other guys, they're like, oh my God, she came to his place, wherever. It shows really cool and boosts your ego to show it to other guys. But in reality, the way I view it, it doesn't make a difference for me if she comes to my place or we meet in person, because I know I'm going to spend a bit time with her, and after that she's going to like me and she will come anyway. So um, so yeah, so that's my take on this. No need to actually uh, get them to come to your place. You can meet them in person, you can still make it happen. So and actually that's what I found it actually much easier most of the time. So that's my take on it, so, to be honest.
Bro, what are the best dating apps?
Okay, so I think this differs a bit when it comes to where you live, and different dating apps can have different purposes. So I still think Tinder is the mostly the best around the world. Let's say in US you have Bumble. Bumble is also a great app. The a bit the disadvantage of Bumble is that you need to wait for a girl to message you first, and the girl, she needs to do it within 24 hours. Otherwise, the match expires, and she if she doesn't text you, let's say first, what's going to happen is that you lose that match within 24 hours, and that's it. So it's a bit more feminist app, so to speak, when it comes to this, because the girls need to make the first move, and then you need to take from there. And usually the girls, they don't send you the best pickup lines ever. They just go with, hey, how are you, hello, and that's it. You need to take it from there. So you need to know how to move the interaction when it comes to when you're not leading, in terms of she's starting the conversation, and you need to continue the conversation with what she started, which could be a bit more difficult depending on what's your style when it comes to text game and how you do it. So the other one is Hinge. That's the third most popular app. It's a bit more for the purpose of Hinge is a bit more for more serious relationships. At least that's how they label it. Even though the app is owned by the same company that they own Tinder. It's just they want to diversify into different brands, so that's why they do it like this. So that's the third app that makes sense to use, and you can use them all. And the fourth one is Facebook Dating, which is something that's relatively new, that Facebook introduced in terms of Facebook Dating. I think could be even better than the other two that I mentioned. But these are the four apps that you can use: Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and Facebook Dating. So these are the four that I think work the best worldwide, so to speak. So it really depends on which country they use one or more the other. But I think, let's say Tinder, they use it everywhere, so no problem with that. And the others might differ depending on the country.
So when you use Tinder, do you pay for the Tinder Plus and Tinder Gold and all that, or you just use regular?
Mhm. So I usually pay. I pay for usually pay for Tinder Plus or Gold, and the reason for that is this: because with the free plan, you are very limited in terms of how many swipes you have per day. And that's kind of limiting you in terms of how many matches you can get. Because you might have a lot of women, let's say, liking your profile, swiping right. But if you're limited when it comes to how many swipes you can get yourself, this is kind of a problem because you cannot match with all of them, and you're missing a lot of opportunities. And that's why I think it's worth paying for, just because of the unlimited swiping. The other thing that's really good for the paid plans, especially with Tinder Plus or Gold, is that you can change your location. So if you're planning on traveling to another city, or country. You can change your location, swipe over there, and you can arrange dates before you go to that city or country. And that's something that I've done many times, and it works really well. Um, and it's really good. Like for example, I was traveling to Poland, and I just changed my location and arranged some dates with girls in advance before even going there. And I've done it to traveling to other countries as well. And it's something that's really good because you can kind of arrange those dates before you even go over there, which is kind of nice because in the past you can only do that with, let's say, you need to go over there, do cold approach, and then you can meet women. And with that, you kind of have date set up in advance, which is good. And this is the main advantages that I see having that paid plan that allow you to do better. Also, let's say having a paid plan, what people need to understand is that uh, signing up for a paid plan, it doesn't improve your score. Like you have the same Tinder score, um, but it allows you to have these things that allow you to get better results in terms of, let's say, unlimited swiping and also changing your location. The other really good thing with Tinder Gold is that you can see all the girls that swiped right on your profile and you can instantly match them, which is kind of beneficial. I don't always use it, to be honest, because when I'm swiping, I simply match with the girls, but it's something that it's beneficial to have. So yeah, definitely recommend paying, but getting a paid plan. But once you figure out and have a good profile, because if your profile sucks, if you have a bad score as well, let's say having a paid plan won't help you much. So you need to figure out how to, let's say, improve your profile and, for example, and improve your score if you have a previous profile. And then you can sign up for a paid plan to maximize your results, so to speak.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's say somebody follows your advice, like all the advice you gave today, and they're like, "Oh shit, man, I'm starting to get some matches now, right?" Now, when they start getting matches, does it matter what they say, like to these girls? Like, have you tell your clients, like, "Hey, when you start getting matches now, here's what you say to get them, or tell them to say whatever the fuck you want to say."
Yeah, it definitely matters what what you text to women, because here's the thing. Let's say most guys, let's say first of all, most men have terrible profiles online, and it's very rare that you see a guy that has a great profile out there. It's very rare, and that's why actually Tinder and dating apps are, for example, if you have a great profile, great profile, we actually don't have any competition because 99.9% of the guys have terrible profiles. And not only that, but even if the guys that have great profiles, once they match with a girl, they have terrible text game. So if you have great profile and if you have, let's say, a great text game, you don't have any competition on the apps because it's like extremely rare that you see that. And I've run some tests that like creating fake female profiles, and from first of all, you need to swipe a lot in order to see good good profiles of guys to be able to match with them. And second of all, once you get matches, probably from 100 matches that the girl gets, you only get like 2 or 3 guys that have decent opening lines, and the rest of the guys are like terrible. They're like just messaging girls like, "Hey, how are you?" or "How are you doing?" or "Hey, what's up?" which is like the worst way to start a conversation. Or just giving compliments to the women, like, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. I can't believe you're real." And let's say 98% of the guys that actually match with the girl are like that, which is like, oh my God. So a lot of guys, they try to, that know a bit more about this, they would try to do something based on the profile of the girl. They'll try to, okay, I'll try to come up with an opener based on her profile. And that might work in some cases, but in most of the time, let's say girls have kind of boring profiles, so they don't have anything going on within your profiles to try to come up with openers based on that. So that's kind of strategy that I see guys work within the dating community, online dating community, that a bit know about this stuff. I'll call them intermediate, so to speak. And they'll try to use this type of strategy, or they'll try to use strategies like "Hey Trouble," which is like popular opener, to tease her a little bit, which might be a bit okay. I personally don't see it as so perfect because you're kind of teasing her, but you're not making yourself so easy later on because you need to do a lot of texting. So uh, so the way I view it with the opener and how I do the openers is like I want to make it easy for myself to go out with a girl. So what I do is like just like in chess, let's say in chess you try to think, let's say the best players when it comes to chess think a few steps ahead. They always think a few moves ahead and they're planning what they're going to do. So that's how I view text game. I always plan a few steps and moves ahead to what you're going to say. So when I use an opener, I know in advance how girls are going to respond, and I know how I'm going to respond to that to make it easy for myself to move the conversation forward and to move it forward in the right direction. In terms of I want to move it forward in terms of to be able to meet the girl in person. That's my number one priority, and the way I do that, I start talking about things that we can do in person, funny little things that we can do in person, and then let's say they usually respond really well, and I continue the conversation, and based on that, I'm able to, let's say, set up a date within a few messages. So I don't text a lot with girls to be able to meet them. I usually spend like 3 to 5 messages to be able to at least switch to the date, to set the date. And then I just figure out logistics, where we're going to meet up, how, and at what time, what day. And that's how I meet them. So, the idea is to use the text game to make it easy for yourself to reach your objective. So you start with your end objective first, which is to meet her in person. And sometimes even, let's say, my objective is, let's say many guys, where they go is, let's say, they try to get the girl's phone number or her Snapchat or her Instagram first before going for the date. And I think this is a terrible mistake because the first thing that you want is for the girl to agree to meet you. That's the most important thing. It doesn't matter if it's your place, if it's in a bar, if it's outside, if it's whenever. What really matters is the girl to agree to meet you in person. Like, you don't need her phone number, you don't need her Instagram. Yes, I usually, let's say, after women agree to meet me, this is when I ask them for a phone number or for Instagram or social media to chat there, but I don't need that in advance, right? Because the purpose is to meet them, not to get a phone number. And sometimes, let's say, getting the phone number first can actually kind of break the interaction. So you always want to go for getting her to agree to meet you first, and then you take a phone number and you switch the communication over there. And that's something that I do personally. And sometimes I even had dates when I went on a date and I didn't took the phone number or the social media before in advance, and I just simply took it on the date, so to speak. So you don't even need that, let's say, if you don't want. So that's, I think, something that's important for guys to know when texting, that they should start with the end goal in mind, which is to meet the girl in person, which is the most important thing. You want to switch the interaction in person where you can vibe together. You can build that. You can build more attraction, more connection, more vibe, and you can go from there. And afterwards, you can hook up and do all of that, because you cannot fuck her on the dating app. You need to meet in person. So That's how I do text games, so to speak. In a way to you always want to try to make it easy for yourself and to visualize and talk more when it comes to things you can do when you meet up. When you talk about, you can set up the man to woman frame from the start, and that's something that's no men actually do. You know, they have this boring conversation, and they talk about the irrelevant stuff instead of being confident and dominant in leading and setting up the man to woman frame and leading towards the date. And also, let's say, give so many guys, they simply give too many compliments, which is something that you shouldn't be doing. Instead, you should be getting the girls to qualify themselves to you. And yeah, this is how basically do text game. You have to explain it very, very quickly, but it's important for, text game is very, very important because it's like the last mile, but this is when guys can screw up so much in terms of, let's say, showing that they're low value and, let's say, killing all the attraction. And I've seen it so many times when, let's say, girls match with them and they just text them very bad things that simply kill all the attraction and they don't even know why they failed, so to speak.
Cool, brother. I appreciate you coming on, man. I feel like you gave us a ton of value, and you
Mm-hmm.
packed it for a short period of time. So I really appreciate it.
You're
Um,
welcome.
can you just give us maybe some final thoughts, maybe one tip we can apply right away to improve our dating app results, and then also let us know how we can get in contact with you if we want extra help, specific advice.
Okay, awesome. So the final thing that I want to say that we haven't talked so far, the guys need to understand, is that besides having a great profile, besides understanding text game, what you need to work on is, first of all, you need to understand internally what makes you valuable as a man and how to communicate it. I think that's very, very important. And how to communicate that with pictures and images to show to women who you really are. Because there's a saying that says that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it really is if you know how to use it. And that's why if you know how to take pictures, if you put the time to improve your profile, take great pictures, it's an effort, but what you need to understand is that you're creating an asset. You're putting your effort into. I have put an effort to take all these pictures for my profile, but when I go to Tinder, because I have put the effort to create those pictures, right now I can meet women all the time because I have put the effort to take those pictures. So that's what guys need to understand. You need to put the effort in taking better pictures that communicate your value. That's one of the things that I want to give. And another tip that I want to give them is to also try to understand how the Tinder algorithm works. Because even if you have a great profile, if no women see that profile, you're not going to get matches. So you need to improve your score in order to get better visibility. There are some tricks when it comes to this as well, how you can get more women to see your profile, which I think is very important because the more women see your profile and the more hot girls see your profile, the more matches you can get. But even if you have a great profile, if women don't see it, you're not going to get many matches. So I think that's another element that's very, very important, which is the Tinder algorithm and how it works and how to get more eyeballs to your profile. So more women see that, and not only more women, but more attractive women, the type of women you want to meet. And I think that's very important when it comes to getting results from Tinder and dating apps. Yeah, and also how people can find me. So I have a Facebook group called Swiping Secrets. So you can go over there. There is a ton of free content people can watch, and they can post questions, anything related to online dating. It's Swiping Secrets. I also have an Instagram, Swiping Secrets as well. And I also have a free training that I go more in depth when it comes to how to get more matches from Tinder, which people can go and watch on swipingsecrets.com. So yeah, this is the places people can find me. They can also add me on Facebook, Martin Zhel. And yeah, these are the places where people can find me and learn more about how to get results from online dating. And yeah, hopefully they enjoy today's live video and they got benefit from it. And yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. I'm sure they got a ton of value out of this because I did, bro. I learned a lot too. So perfect, man. I appreciate you coming on and thank you, fellas, for watching. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.
Yeah. Welcome.